This was a great week of chapters, with One Piece being a very particular standout in terms of new information. Everything else did very well in that regard as well. So, with that being said, we're going to start out with One Piece, chapter 1023, and it was a pretty great chapter where we get to see Zoro and Sanji fighting one-on-one against King and Queen, showing each of their strengths. King, Queen, Sanji, Zoro. We get to hear some speculation from Hirogoro and Kawamatsu on Zoro's lineage, but for me, I don't think it's anything. I think they're saying that he's like this old samurai, the descendant of Ryuma, and that he's very much like Ryuma, and I don't think this means Zoro's related to Ryuma. I think at best it might show that his master was related to Ryuma, and thus that's why Zoro has so much similarities to these two other characters. It also could just be a similar thing to the Will of D, where he was able to wield Ryuma's sword. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of it. I know they said it, I just never paid that close of attention. I know so many other people know what these swords' names are, but I don't. And they made mention that Ryuma was a one-eyed swordsman, so the correlations are there. I think it's closer to the Will of D in that the sword and Zoro grew extremely close, and that Zoro basically inherited the will of Ryuma in a manner of speaking. Shusui. He brought back Shusui, that's right. It said it in the chapter if I paid close enough attention to it. So because he had Shusui for so long, maybe he inherited it from the sword maybe, or something else. But I don't think this means Zoro's related to Ryoma. We'll have to wait and see, though I know most people think he is. I'm just not one of them. The other big events were that Jack and Inuyarashi starts really heating up, with Inuyarashi being able to turn back into Sulong form because of a hole in the ceiling, so Jack might be in trouble, and Perospero being very much in trouble as Nekomamushi is in his Sulong form as well. It's looking like they're not gonna make it to the end of the battle, and I don't know what that means for the Mink. Will they move forward? Will they stop? I don't know. It also could be the reason why Carrot doesn't join the crew in the end. Raizo's fight was good, or just continues. And then we get the big reveal that Momo has now been aged up 20 years. He's now 28, and it seems, from this implication, that at least I was right in some regard, that Momo looks exactly like Odin. So what that means is that I'm probably fairly close on how the fight with Kaido is going to go when they get back up there, though it looks like Momo's Devil Fruit is now powered up as well, as he's now a full dragon like Kaido. Most people actually confused Dragon Momo with Kaido, so that battle should be very interesting. The thing that I can see happening now is that Momo tries to fight Kaido in dragon form. Kaido basically agrees and they battle it out, but Momo just isn't even close. Gets defeated fairly quickly, lands back down on the top of Onigashima with Luffy there. Yamato comes in to try to protect Momo, and that's how you have Kaido being distracted, wanting to kill Momo, full stop. Now, the interesting thing is, again, how does Momo have a genuinely working Devil Fruit? And it just shows how powerful Vegapunk is, as this is just a genuine Kaido-cloned Devil Fruit, even though, I think it was in Punk Hazard, they said that Vegapunk considered this Devil Fruit to be a failure. How does that make any sense? He's clearly the Devil Fruit. It's the same one as Kaido. So what I'm assuming is that Vegapunk tried to strengthen Devil Fruits by removing their water issue. He couldn't do it with Momo's fruit here, and so thought nothing of it, but it makes it scary, because if he's able to clone Devil Fruits just from someone's tissue, that means he could do that with a lot of people. That super military force that the Marines have now could be quite fearsome if he cloned all three admirals' Devil Fruits and gave them to this core fighting force, or even cloned Kuma's Devil Fruit and put his Devil Fruit in all the pacifistas, making them as strong as Kuma himself, now being able to repel as well as blast them with the light, like energy blast. So there's a heavy implication there that Momo is also a dragon devil fruit user, just like Kaido. So that makes things a lot more interesting in the long run. So that was the chapter. I'd give that chapter an A. I thought it was pretty great, with a lot of information, a lot of continuation with the battles between Sanji and Queen, and Zoro and King. I think the Zoro and King fight ends up being Zoro showing off his highest degree of swordsmanship, being able to defeat a cunning and all-around fighter in King. I think Sanji starts to probably unlock some of his latent ability as one of Judge's children, maybe because of the raid suit. It like awakened it, maybe, though I am one to believe that his line of his passion burns hotter than fire, that's why his leg catches on fire, is something just ridiculous enough that it would happen in this universe. So we'll end up seeing if he gets a power up because now he's like his siblings, simply because the raid suit kind of unlocked it. So now we're on to Black Clover, chapter 304, and this was a good chapter. I enjoyed it quite a bit, with the aftermath, with everyone defeating Magna Kula, everyone being relieved that Lilliputichika is now fully alive and okay, no longer cursed. Even Nezel is no longer cursed, so he can actually talk to Noelle and everyone about what truly happened. But there's a lot of awkwardness, and it's a very cute chapter with a bunch of funny moments and everything before the near death of Gaja, Rill, and Charlotte. However, just as all seemed lost, and Noct tried to warn them that reality is a bit more cruel than what they deserve. However, Noct was able to retrieve Mimosa, and when she arrived, she was able to use her ultimate magic, which is seemingly extreme super healing, which I think is relatively good for her, as that was her whole bit. She's very much just a healer, to some degree a distance fighter. So I don't think it's a complete ass pull, simply because I believe she was with that group that went with the elves, so she knows the ultimate magic and she has super healing. I just don't think it's as far-fetched as others might. So them being able to live was just another little victory here, because I ultimately think that this whole saga is going to be a big fat loss for all of our heroes, with death being everywhere. Now, again, maybe I'm wrong. At this point, many of these series are a lot softer than I thought they would be, even Jujutsu Kaisen. But something that does good, and I think Black Clover will do as well, is that they allow their heroes to lose and then come back a few arcs later to win. We'll get into Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit later, but with this, it continues to be cute and so on. The other big reveal was that Gaja actually confessed to Lilliputichika, which everyone's super shocked about. They're getting ready to go save Yami and or help get rid of the last Dark Triad member, and it seems as though Xenon is the strongest one, as it would seem, as he is holding his own as if nothing is bothering him, and is shown to be extremely intimidating. However, Langris and Yuno seemingly are about to pull out a plan if Langris can hold him off for 3 minutes so that Yuno can charge up for a finishing blow. Will this work? Probably not, if I were to be a gambling man. But with everyone converging onto this location to defeat him before going after the doctor, I am curious to see what'll happen. Like I said, I think maybe they'll be able to defeat all the Dark Triad members at this point, showing that they have truly improved. However, I don't see them beating the Supreme Devils. They were able to beat Magna Kula because she got greedy, trying to jump a gun and get to the mortal realm before the other two, and ended up coming there at half strength, still truly being able to overwhelm every opponent she fought, but with the ingenuity and the quick thinking of the human opponent she fought, she lost. Again, she was only at about half strength, so it's a victory simply because they were able to take advantage of the situation. Will that happen again as soon as the doors open? No. So it's a race against time, and I think I have enough faith in the author that unless they were able to genuinely just stop the tree from forming full stop, I don't think they're going to win. If the Supreme Devils or any other high-grade devils come out, they can't win. It took everything they had and then some to win against Magna-Coula, and it's not going to be any easier from there, and they're already basically drained. So I see this arc ending in a big fat defeat for Black Clover still, so I didn't mind that they got another little victory with everyone still being alive at the end of it, thanks to Mimosa being her healing self. So overall, I'd give this chapter a B. Like I said, I thought it was good. I thought it was very entertaining aftermath chapter, showing everyone celebrating and being happy that they were able to survive. A couple of fun character moments, and the future, at least for this moment, is starting to turn on the hero's favor. We'll see how long that lasts. Now we're on to Undead Unluck, chapter 76, and this was a good chapter as we see the continued fight between Top and Chikara versus Creed. We see that things were going well, however, it changes very quickly with how adaptive Creed is. From using a flashbang to tank out Chikara's eyes, to then later destroying the ceiling so that then he can get cover before taking fully out Chikara's eyes by punching him in the eyes, mocking Top, and overall showing his dominance over the two of them, intimidating Top, the whole thing. However, Chikara showed how much he had grown, being able to stand, taking a bullet to the leg, and showing just how strong his resolve is from the last time he fought Creed, and is able to open his eyes despite them being relatively damaged, and Top leaves to reach top speeds to be able to actually defeat/kill Creed, because his other attacks were just too light. So this was a good chapter. Again, it was very fight heavy and character heavy, seeing that Creed is a merciless mercenary that just will kill and destroy everything and anyone just because he can, where Top and Chikara aren't quite like that. They do need each other. Creed even complimented Chikara, saying he had grown quite a bit stronger, however, Top was failing him. So that's pretty much the whole chapter, was just that fight. So overall, I'd give it a B. It was good. It showed growth for our hero characters and more depth for the villain character. Where it goes from here, if they win or if they lose or whatever, we'll have to see for that. But for now, I thought it was a very well done fight plan and a well done growth and development for all the characters involved. Now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 75, and this was another fun chapter as it gets back to the Divine Visionary exam, as we see that Dot, Lance, and Mash all made it to the final examination area. We see that each of them are about to give an interview with a different Divine Visionary. Each are led out by a guide. Mash's particular guide is a servant beast called 008, and he follows him. And this servant beast is pretty much house elves from Harry Potter, and it's really kind of funny how close Mashle is from ripping off Harry Potter completely, as servant beasts have to serve their masters no matter what. In this case, with this servant beast, he grows extremely strong. Mash can dodge him easily, however, but sees that the servant beast actually doesn't want to fight him, but has to because he is a slave to his master. Mash then grabs his attack, not wanting to resist, knowing that he doesn't want to actually hurt Mash. The little servant beast turns back to himself. We see Oda arrive, and we learn more about him, how powerful his magic is, and that he's able to defeat super powerful mad djinns who attack, and he's able to take out multiple of them, showing that he's pretty much the strongest wizard that's come up for quite a few ages, it would seem, pretty much since Wahlberg, and he thinks that he is enough to defeat Innocent Zero just on his own, seeing how powerful he is. Mash, however, won't back down. So that's what we get there. We get to see now that Mash will be versing Otor. Will this be another case of actually having Mash struggle, or will Mash completely overpower him, showing his indomitable strength? I'm curious to see how this goes. I would like to see Mash just kind of win, keep winning and like never really losing to anyone. I think that'd be a really funny thing, but I'm not sure how this will go. Seeing Otor as this sort of menacing monster that keeps getting into Mash's way is a fun secondary villain for now, and I'm assuming we'll get more secondary villains as Innocent Zero keeps building up his strength, like his other children, as well as just other minions of his. So for now, we have this battle between Otor and Mash, and I look forward to seeing how that goes. Overall, I'd give this chapter a B. It was fun seeing them continue the plot once again, as well as seeing some more of the lore of the world, from the servant beast to what the exam is, to even hearing about monster attacks and the divine visionaries taking out those monsters to save the realm. Even hearing how strong Otor is, just giving some context. I think it's good. I think it adds to the world as a whole, and I look forward to seeing where it goes from there. My prediction is Mash will pretty much win without breaking too much of a sweat. Now we're on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 36, and this was the end of the Wu-Tang trying to get back low arc. Here we see how the game of Old Maid goes, and it goes for several rounds before it is just Sakamoto, and Wu-Tang uses his incredible reflexes and athleticism to basically win, where Wu-Tang is able to outsmart and outplay Shen and eventually Lo. However, things didn't go quite as planned, and the Triad basically turn on Wu-Tang, calling him a nerd and that his complicated ways and schemes are dumb and that they should just be using force. Sakamoto, however, more or less cheers him on, asking him if that is really how he's just going to give up, which then Wu-Tang is able to scheme and lie his way into having his men disarm themselves before Sakamoto can take them all out. Then Wu-Tang is able to prove that he was lying, showing how he's able to outbluff everyone and be a first-rate gambler. He admits that he lost, but Sakamoto can relate to him, understanding wanting to protect someone dear to him, and Wu-Tang and him somewhat connect before Shen finally wakes back up after being unconscious because of Wu-Tang, and it ends in a rather funny way. So I wonder if Wu-Tang will end up staying with them, which would be really funny. Having the bird guy and Wu-Tang around all the time, but they don't work there, they just continuously visit. I think that'd be really funny, as they're like just reoccurring characters in this motley crew of ridiculousness. I think that's a fun way to do that. And yeah, I thought there was a good chapter, a good way to end this Wu-Tang arc before we go on to whatever ridiculousness happens next. Overall, I'd give that chapter a B. Like I said, it was good. I hope I'm not repeating myself, but I probably am. And it was a fun chapter. Like I said, hopefully Wu-Tang sticks around and we see more of him. Where the series goes next, I have no idea. I'm kind of expecting a dead chapter where it'll just be their shenanigans for a hot minute before we get on to the next arc, potentially. Maybe a more serious and longer one. Maybe more character development. I'm not sure. But for now, this was a good end to a particular arc. Now we're on to the Hunters Guild Red Hood, chapter 8, and this was a good chapter as we learned more about the world a little bit, and hear that the mayor was able to do something that changed the script of the story. See, I kind of enjoy that about certain fairy tale stories. I remember reading one story where they talked about the narrative as if it was a real thing that they could kind of almost worship, and that's what this is giving me vibes of, that they can kind of physically tamper with the script of the manga, quote unquote, and or the story itself, and this mayor character is important to that. He doesn't seem to get along with the master werewolf and the witch that we met before, but it's interesting, and I really look forward to seeing how that whole thing unfolds. As for what's going on Ironworks, more people leave. The Iron Jaw guy moves in with another roommate into Velo's room. We see that they continue to progress through the exam, and we find out that once they reach the final exam, the Ironworks final disembarkation exam, is that once they get to the island, they do this exam, and if they fail, they actually have to redo the rigorous training they just did on their way back to whatever station they were at before getting off. So basically, if you make it to the end and fail, you get to just ride the ironworks back home. It's almost like a punishment for wasting everyone's time. They explain that there's not a set number of like passing, so everyone could fail if they didn't do very well. We see that the final exam is a game of cops and robbers, and there's seemingly still quite a few people left, so that means there's going to be quite a few eliminations here. Though, if I had to guess, the way, of course, every one of these stories go, we're going to have it that this generation, Velo's generation of recruits, will end up being one of the biggest ones, and that quite a few pass the exam. We'll probably end up meeting quite a bit of characters and see some of the ones that have already been introduced a little bit be eliminated. They have to resist and not get cuffed, and if they do get cuffed, they get put into the jail. If they do get into jail, they lose, and they are eliminated, and thus must make the return trip. Grimm steps in to help Debonair. Then we see that Debonair is also cursed like Grimm to have her body be superheated, except she is able to find a way to contain it by doing intense physical training, thus why she's extremely muscular. We see some of her power and just how strong she truly is, and causes this giant sea monster to be pushed away because it was about to run into Ironworks. She's then all warmed up and feels ready to go and wants to start the cops and robbers game. Everyone else is very much now afraid, and I thought that was very funny. So, like I said, it was a good chapter. Overall, I'd give it a B. I thought it was fun. It continues this lively world and gives us some interesting motivations for everyone, especially seeing as how maybe things don't go quite according to everyone's plan. Like I said, I hope the series goes for a long time because I think it has a lot of potential, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a really fun series. I'm really enjoying it so far, so I'll just keep covering it. It's fun to talk about. So that's all the chapters. A quick roundup of some of the other ones. Like I said, I think Jujutsu Kaisen was good. I think it has very much Hunter x Hunter vibes, where half the pages are text, but then you'll get a couple of really nicely drawn pages. It's not really my thing, and it's overly complicated, but it's fine. I still read it. I enjoy it. I think they do a lot of nice decisions there, and I look forward to where it goes. My Hero was more fluff. I don't love My Hero. It's why I don't really talk about it. And if you want a nice series that's just basically good guys winning over and over and is able to tug on your heartstrings for how sweet the whole thing is, read My Hero. Otherwise, I think its story is mediocre. It's pretty much it. I'll end up just saying whether it was okay or not, and this was a fine chapter. It knew how to tug at your heartstrings, having Uraraka give this super inspirational speech and finally breaking through to Deku. The Elusive Samurai is fun. I enjoy that one. Its story is getting more and more ridiculous as it goes, as each escape attempt gets more and more elaborate. And Candy Flurry was good, as we get to see the major villain finally reveal himself and pull off his escape attempt, only to have our main character get in his way. So I thought that was another good chapter, and I have a bad feeling that one might not last as long as I want it to, but it looks like they have a lot of faith in all of these so far, so I'm going to hold out hope that maybe they all sell pretty okay, that they can actually all get a pretty decent run. Nero's a good one. That one's new too. I'm just following that one. I think that one has a lot of potential in it, so we'll see if that one goes far. But yeah, that's all the chapters. I think it was a very solid to great week of said chapters, and it should just keep getting better from here, as there's no break next week, so we'll be back for more me rambling fun. And these were all just really fun chapters. Every story is really hitting their stride, and maybe at some point we'll get some really heavy moments, especially from like One Piece or Black Clover or some others. So with all that being said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.